The Miami Commission just passed a resolution condemning what it called hate speech against Muslims. Now, nobody is in favor of hate speech, least of all me, but it is an unfortunate fact that for the last 15 or 16 years since 9/11, Islamic advocacy groups have been making a concerted effort to portray any honest discussion of how jihad terrorists use Islam, its teachings, its texts, its holy book, the Quran, in order to justify violence and make recruits among Muslims who are peaceful. They label any attempt to investigate the motivating ideology behind the terrorists as hate speech. And so now in Miami, and this is probably a first that is going to be imitated by many other cities and towns in the United States, it's illegal to talk about not illegal strictly speaking, but it has been officially condemned to talk about what motivates and guides the terrorists who have vowed to destroy us. Now, in the first place, that is something that might be illegal in itself because of a small thing known as the First Amendment. You've heard of that? Now, this Miami law, this Miami condemnation, therefore, I should say, this condemnation of hate speech is directly and obviously and dangerously unconstitutional. Consider also the fact that this Miami resolution, it comes a few months after a jihad terrorist operating explicitly by his own words in the name of Islam and in accordance with Islamic teachings, murdered 49 people at a nightclub in Orlando, Florida, and wounded 53 more. You may recall, I don't know, you may be far too young to remember this, but a few years back, there was an artist, so-called, out of Italy, who put a crucifix into a jar of urine and took a picture of it. And this was art. This was given a cash award and commendations, not condemnations, commendations from the National Endowment of the Arts. And it was a big deal. And anybody who said, wait a minute, you know, this is actually patently offensive and has no artistic value whatsoever, they were condemned as hateful and bigoted and against the freedom of speech. But nowadays, the situation is quite different, and yet it's only quite different in regard to Islam. Nowadays, if you draw a cartoon and say that cartoon, that's a picture of Muhammad, then Muslims will riot and kill, as they have done around the world several times, over these cartoons. And you're universally condemned by the same Western media, the same New York Times, the same CNN, and so on, that praised the crucifix in the jar of urine. You're condemned for a cartoon of Muhammad. And so in Miami, hate speech against Christians, nobody cares. Hate speech against Jews, forget it. Hate speech against Hindus, Buddhists, nope, nobody else was named. Only hate speech against Muslims. It's really a remarkable thing. It shows you that terrorism actually works.